Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the DE podcast. Me and Aiken Rage are back once again. And since the last episode, we've had the play-in, the playoffs, some of the playoffs at least, and we've had some good games so far. A couple injuries. Definitely some interesting news for you guys today. And before we start, make sure to obviously like and subscribe on YouTube, and to down on Spotify, continue to show support on Instagram and all our social media platforms. And I think we can jump right into it. So we will start with the play-in tournament. We had the Nets and the Cavs, and the Nets beat the Cavs by 7. We had Darius Garland, who dropped 34 despite the loss. Kevin Durant scored 25 with 11 assists, while Kyrie Irving had a great second half of the game, and he got 34 points total. So the Nets are currently facing the Celtics in game 1 of the first round. So I wanted to ask you, Akram, what are your predictions for the series?
For me at least, I think it could go like either way for Celtics Nets, even though the Nets are the 7th seed. Just because like Kyrie not playing the whole year is so weird. For the Nets at least. And this game, obviously, right now at the score, I think it's like it's 89-80 in the third quarter. So very close. I think the series will go at least 6 games.
Yeah, I think it's kind of tough because not just with the teams being tough, but also with, Kyrie Irving being with the whole Boston situation. So
Yeah.
everyone's like booing at him when he has the ball. So like it's definitely tough more in Boston for Brooklyn. But I think when the series goes to Brooklyn, I think it's going to be harder for Boston as well. I mean, I think it all makes sense because it's home court advantage, obviously. But another important fact is that Ben Simmons is supposed to come back between games 4, 5, and 6. So, like you said, this game, I mean, it's probably going to be like a 6-7 game series. So, if he comes back, what are your thoughts? Like, will he actually help the team? Will he make the team worse with his 1% 3-point shooting career?
I don't think like there's not much he can really do, in my opinion, at least, because here's the thing. He hasn't played all year. He hasn't played since last year in the Eastern Conference semifinals versus Atlanta. So to come back into a playoff game and try and like get rid of all the rust and have a good debut, I don't think he's gonna really do anything too crazy if he does play. He'll probably like play 10, 20 minutes and just maybe have a few assists, maybe score.
Yeah. Yeah, you're out like imagine you're out for like a year with an injury, and then you come back and your first game is like a playoff game, probably a crucial playoff game in that moment. So I guess another series it's gonna be very fun to watch. The Timberwolves. So the Timberwolves beat the LA Clippers by 5 in a nail biter. Paul George did play well, but they had to go to the second playing game despite the loss. Anthony Edwards scored 30, and he makes his first ever playoffs against the Grizzlies. And honestly, what are your predictions on that series, even after the first game?
So for me at least, I feel like this series, the Grizzlies versus the Timberwolves, that's probably the one that could go like either way out of any of the series right now, except for maybe Jazz Mavericks. But like because even though the Timberwolves are the 7th seed, they've been playing so much better since the All-Star break that they could probably be like a 5 seed, 4 seed. And the Grizzlies are obviously they're also really young. They just made their playoffs first time last year, and then this year they're the 2nd seed. So I think it's just 2 young teams, and it could go either way.
Yeah, and they're the 2 youngest teams, I think, to ever make the playoffs. I think that's what it said. But I mean, based on game 1, it's going to be a really tight series. Yeah, honestly, I think it can go either way. And I mean, every single series right now can like go either way, obviously. But again, this one plus maybe Nets Celtics would be those 2 series where it's like anything could happen. And it's also like Anthony Edwards really wanted to be in the playoffs. He had not hit now is his time, so he's obviously taking advantage of it so far. Also another team in the playoffs, we have the Atlanta Hawks. They dominate. Like I'm being serious. They dominate the Hornets by 29 points. And Trae Young has a good game, double-double. Miles Bridges gets a nasty ejection, and he throws a mouth guard at a fan by mistake. Obviously regrets his actions later. And then after the game, in his post-game interview, LaMelo Ball said that he is frustrated that he has to wear number 2. He will most likely go and switch to the number 1, his jersey number next year. So I have a question. So in the next, maybe let's just say like 3 to 5 years, do you think the Hornets will make it past the play-in tournament?
Ooh. Okay, here's the thing. The Hornets this year, because they're the 10th seed and they were outside the playoffs, they'll still get a lottery pick. So I feel like if they can draft, like, what they need is a center, and I think we talked about it a few times. Like, if they could get some center, maybe from the draft or through a trade, like Miles Turner or something. If they can do that, then I could see like next year they could probably be like a top 8 seed, probably the 8th seed itself, in the Eastern Conference, because LaMelo Ball is just going to keep getting better. Miles Bridges is also very good. They have young players, PJ Washington. I'm trying to think who else, but I think they're a very young team, and I think they'll just get better and better. So I think they will make it past the play, and even possibly next year if they make the right offseason moves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously living in Charlotte, I mean, I've heard many opinions. Like some people are saying that, the team didn't play well. Some people are saying it's James Borrego's fault. Some people are saying it's Michael Jordan's fault because he needs to sign better players. So it's kind of controversial. In my opinion, I mean, I think I've watched the team many times. The team's good. I mean, LaMelo Ball is amazing. I mean, the way he can move the ball around is crazy. And then Miles Bridges, kind of his partner in crime, and then also Terry Rozier. But Mason Plumlee is just, I mean, I don't want to say he's a liability to the team, but he's not really helping them in a lot of ways. Montrezl Harrell is on the bench below Mason Plumlee, which is in my opinion, although Montrezl Harrell is like 6'9", like he's not that tall for a center. Like he should probably be in Mason Plumlee's spot because 1, he's probably stronger. And 2, he looks like he wants to be out there. So I think the Hornets need to get a good center in the offseason. After trading away Ish Smith for Montrezl Harrell, they probably need another guard to be on the bench, that go-to guard. I mean, now they have James Buchanan, who was their draft pick last year, drafted 14th, I think. But they definitely need to make adjustments there. But even as I'm not saying I'm not even a Hornets fan, but like it would be fun to see the Hornets do well. But also, I think we can continue with the Hawks. The Hawks go on, beat the Hornets, dominate. They come back from down 15 to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers by 5. Trae Young has the largest scoring second half of his career, which is 32 points, and he finishes with 38. So obviously a disappointing first half. The Hawks set up a matchup with the Miami Heat. So overall, what are the predictions? And could the Hawks upset the 1 seed?
No, it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen. We're gonna talk about game 1 a little bit later, but I think that just kind of showed the Miami Heat are just way better than the Hawks. And out of everything, I think that Heat will probably sweep them, or the Hawks will get 1 game off of them. But what I really feel bad for is the Cavs, because the Cavs were like the 3rd seed in January.
Not even January, like March.
Yeah. Even in March, I think they were really high. They were top 5. Then they lost Evan Mobley. Jared Allen was gone down. Darius Garland got injured for a little bit. So they slipped all the way down to the 8th seed after losing to the Nets. And now they're out of the playoffs, when honestly I think they really deserve to be there, because they were a really good team for basically 3/4 of the year, and then just suddenly had a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing about the play-in. There's so much controversy over it. Like, oh yeah, the Hawks are good. They deserved it. Oh, the Hornets deserved it. Maybe they could have, gone it. Or like, oh, the Nets and Cavs, like they deserved it the most. Like there's why would they have to play, So that's the whole beauty of the play-in tournament. Like, I think more NBA teams are more concerned now about like getting to the playoffs and not being in the play-in, so which is good because I think it actually makes it urge more, because there's some teams who are like, okay, top 8 seed, it's okay. If we're the 7 seed, we play the 2 seeds, okay. Yeah, I think it's kind of controversial about the whole point tournament, but that's the beauty of it. And it's actually, I think it's a good way. I mean, also there's more pressure in the play-in tournament. Although it's not as much as the playoffs, it's the play-in tournament, and it's to get into the playoffs, like the last stretch. So I think many teams just have to go there. And I think
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and
go ahead.
like I actually remember, I think a few days ago I saw something on Instagram. It was like Draymond Green was like, Draymond Green obviously is very vocal. He talks a lot about the NBA, the rules, everything. He has his own podcast. Um, but he was like, if you hate the play-in tournament, you should not be watching basketball. He was like, it's the best part because the games, they have a potential, like the Cavs Hawks game, they could just be really thrillers, and it gives chances to teams that you wouldn't expect. Like for the Hawks example, if there was no play-in tournament, they would be the 9th seed. They would have been eliminated. But now they've been able to climb themselves back into the playoffs, and I mean, although I don't think it's going to matter to the Heat very much, it's good for the Hawks to at least make it, I guess.
Yeah. And then also for the plan, we had the New Orleans Pelicans beat the Clippers to make their first playoff since 2017 or 2018, one of the two, since A. Disney was on the Pelicans. And we had Brendan Ingram, who dropped 30. In his post-game interview, he said he's super excited about showcasing his talent in the playoffs. And they're playing against the best, the Phoenix Suns. 66 wins, I believe, in the regular season. That's like better than like the 2017 Warriors. So the question is, will the Suns sweep? And two, is there a chance that Zion will come back?
Okay, first question: will the Suns sweep? Yes, the Suns will sweep. Because they're literally, the Suns are so good this year. They're like the Warriors of 2017. They're like the Rockets in 2018. They were just good the entire regular season. We already know what they've done. They made it to the finals last year. So I think this should be an easy series for them, especially with no Zion. And the Pelicans honestly got worse this year from last year because they got rid of, Lonzo Ball, Devontae Graham, everybody. But for the second question about Zion coming back, I think it's like a Ben Simmons situation again, where it's like you're coming back after a year of not playing. You obviously might be fully healthy, and you can probably. I think Zion's more likely to put up good numbers than Ben Simmons, but it's like I don't know. I don't think that he can make that big an impact, especially when it's like, oh yeah, game 4, they're down 3-0, Zion comes back. Like, what's the point?
That's like more hype about Zion coming back than the Suns making the second round.
Yeah, and I saw something. Actually, I want to get your thoughts on this. Like, apparently Zion was like, I don't know if you've seen, like, Zion's been posting like him doing 360 dunks and like between the leg dunks in his rehab. And like I'm guessing that he's doing that because he really wants to come back, but like the Pelicans are like, no, don't come back for like 3 games in the playoffs and risk an injury. So there's like a difference there.
Yeah, I saw it too on Instagram where they swear. Yeah, I don't even know if it's a false source or something, but they said that like Zion and the Pelicans are disagreeing upon like his return date, because I think Zion probably wants to return like ASAP, like right now, but the Pelicans are like, no, you can't. It's gonna risk you're gonna risk another injury. Just come back later. I mean, that would be cool if it's like Pelicans are down 2-1, Zion comes back, yeah, it's kind of strange in my opinion about like Zion and Ben Simmons, because we've never really seen it before in the NBA about like those guys, like especially the Ben Simmons. Zion is more understandable. I mean, he got injured, 2 he was overweight, so like he kind of needed to like go rehab. Ben Simmons, like, come on, you lose and people are taunting you. Come on, like, people are taunting the Warriors after losing in 2016 to the Cavs, all 3-1 lead. Or imagine even like KD when they blew a 3-1 lead to the Warriors, like, but they're just gonna go back and it's not supposed to make you quit. It's supposed to give you motivation, right? But speaking of the Nets, they actually just went on a humongous run, and they're like they're down one, they're down by 1. But we'll go to the playoffs. So in the playoffs, yesterday was day 1. We had the Utah Jazz. They beat the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not going to say shock because I think they were supposed to win the game. They beat Dallas by 6 in Dallas. Luka was out with a calf strain. The team actually, in my opinion, I watched the game. The team actually played pretty well. There is optimism on if Luke is going to come back in game 2 or not. And Tim Hardaway Jr. was also out for game 1. So how will it like affect the team? I think I'll start with my opinion about this and like the rest of the series also. Yeah, I mean, yesterday like the Mavericks played really well. Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson were that duo. But I think I remember I listened to the commentators talking about it, where they said that Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson were the only scorers for the team, and they needed more people around them. Like, and that's kind of what Tim Hardaway Jr.'s role is. I mean, Luka's obviously the front runner, so I think Luka and Tim Hardaway kind of affected scoring wise, or at least like more pressure on the other team for defense. But for the rest of the series, I think it's actually going to be a close series, in my opinion. I think Luka, I mean, if he doesn't come back in game two, he'll come back game three. Obviously, it's going to be tougher because you're playing in Utah. And that's obviously bad because they have home court. But I definitely think that Dallas can make it a close series with Luka out. But I think when Luka comes back, I think it's going to be sweep because
Really?
it might, yeah, not a sweep like 4-0, right? It can't be
Like
4-0.
4-2, you mean?
4-2, yeah.
Wow.
Because even though the Mavericks lost, they lost by, think about it. The Jazz, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Royce O'Neal, and all. I'm probably forgetting people. And the rest
Jordan
of the
Clarkson.
team. Yeah, Jordan Clarkson lose to who's the best player? Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson. Yeah, two guys. Okay, no, they're not bad. They're good, but you have an all-star in Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr. Your two best players. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is probably maybe okay, fine, maybe top three, top four. Their top two of your top 3 or 4 players are out, and one of them is your leading scorer and your all-star, and you're everything. Like without him, you would be probably one of the worst teams in the league. So like, it's kind of. I think if Luka can like come back, I think that's going to be like. I'm not saying it's going to be like 15 game, like they're going to win. It's going to be over, but I think like Dallas was going to like take it like 6 games.
Yeah, I think they could go like 3 ways basically. Like the first way is like if Luka doesn't come back, like let's say he comes back game 3 or like no, he comes back game 4, like instead of game 3, and the Jazz are up 3-0. I think the Jazz could win that then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like they'll win that. But I also think like honestly, considering how like it was a 6-point win, when you have Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, and Mike Conley starting for you, against the Mavericks team, obviously that's like heavily injured. I think there could be like a situation where the Mavericks, like the Jazz, they lose the next game. Like they lose game 2, Luka comes back, if they just win 4 straight or something. Because it's weird because like the Jazz, they kind of need this more than the Mavericks too. Because I have a feeling if they lose this first round series, like Rudy Gobert is getting traded to, I don't even know where, but he's out. He's on the next bus out of Utah.
Yeah. I'll read the starting lineup. So Utah had Donovan Mitchell, Bojan Bogdanovic, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, Royce O'Neal. And then you had Jordan Clarkson, Hassan Whiteside, Juan Hernangomez off the bench. Dallas, you had Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Dwight Powell, sorry. And then off the bench, you had Max Kleber, Davis Bertans, and what's his name? Trey Burke. Actually, and then you had Boban, who's injured. You had Frank Ntilikina, who's injured. Luka, Tim Hardaway. Like you had like a good amount of guys that are injured, and they only lost by 6. And Dallas was only down by 2 at the half, and then Utah put a little bit of a stretch in the third quarter where they went up by 8. But I think we've touched a good amount upon that game. I think we can move on. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They shocked Memphis in game 1 as they win by 13, 131-17. Anthony Edwards dropped 36 in his playoff debut. Chemistry was great, in my opinion, for Minnesota. I was able to watch like the second half. In my opinion, if they keep it up, they have a significant chance to upset. Ja Morant drops 32. I'm trying to debate what Memphis needs to do to kind of improve in the series overall. But again, both teams are unexperienced. Memphis may have just, I mean, obviously Memphis has like a tad more because they've been to the playoffs last year and everything. But, at the same time, like both teams don't have a lot of experience. So it can honestly go either way, in my opinion. But I think what needs to be improved is just overall like the the Grizzlies need to just improve their game. I didn't think, I didn't. They didn't play well. I think they put too many turnovers. I mean, that sounds like so obvious, like, it's why they put too many turnovers. I mean, it was actually a high scoring game, 117 to 130. That's they both scored a lot of points. But I'll read, like, for Memphis Grizzlies, Dylan Brooks also played well. He had 24. Steven Adams had the low zero, the zip zero. Desmond Bain did have 17, and Jaren Jackson Jr. at 12. But their bench did not do what they had. Other than Brandon Clark, nobody else had more than like 5 points. So I'm still kind of thinking, like, what happened?
I think, like, here's the thing. I just think the Timberwolves, like, it was a very high scoring game, like 130 to 117, sorry. So, like, on the defensive end, they're both not really, like, the Grizzlies are supposed to be pretty good, but the Timberwolves are not good on the defensive end. But I think it was the offensive side where, like, you didn't just have Anthony Edwards he obviously had a really good game. Cat also had a good game. D'Angelo Russell had some nice buckets in the first half. So I think the Timberwolves in that big three can do so much damage offensively that they were just able to, like, outscore the Grizzlies if you, like, step for each step of the game. But I feel like if the Grizzlies really want to do some damage, I think they could easily try and shut down Cat, because it's been done before. The Rockets did it in 2018 against the Timberwolves. Cat was having a great season. He got an All-Star, but then in the playoffs they just shut him down, and he did not have great numbers at all. So if they could slow down Cat, I think then you can let Anthony Edwards get his numbers, but the team itself is going to be easier to beat.
Yeah, in the first quarter, both, like, Minnesota went on a good run. Like, they started out aggressive, and Memphis wasn't ready for that. So they definitely paid for that. Yeah. Okay, so Sixers Raptors we're gonna skip. No, I'm kidding.
The best topic of the day.
Akemers, you read it. I don't want to read it. I'm too embarrassed.
All right, okay. So the Philadelphia 76ers, the 4th seed in the East, versus the Raptors, who are the 5th seed. They won. The Sixers won by 20 points yesterday, an absolute blowout, 131 to 111. And as if that wasn't bad enough, Scotty Barnes, he twisted his left ankle, I think during the 4th quarter of the game, actually. So, like, near the end itself. And his x-rays came back negative. He's having an MRI today, but we'll have to see if he plays in game 2. And he's obviously a crucial piece of the Raptors. It's him and Fred VanVleet were kind of that 1-2, and Pascal Siakam, that big 3 punch for the Raptors. And he's so good for them on the defensive end. He's like their anchor. So we'll see how that affects them. But according to Daniel, the referees were really bad, and that was the main reason why Fred VanVleet and Chris Boucher fouled out of the game. Tyrese Maxey had a really good game for the Sixers. He scored 38, very efficient. I think he missed only like 6 shots total or something. It's like 5 for 8 from 3. He had a great game. But Joel Embiid and Harden actually did not have that good games. Like, they both shot pretty terribly. Harden was like 6 for 17. Joel Embiid was like 5 for 15. So Tyrese Maxey really kind of saved them. So yeah, what are your predictions for game 2 and the rest of this series? I know you were saying that the Raptors would, like, easy win yesterday, but obviously that didn't happen.
Oh, come on, not easy win. Listen, even my dad said the reffing was bad. My dad never says the reffing is bad, but he said it was bad. It was mostly on Embiid. Like, Embiid fouled so much. He was elbowing. Even when he, like, stepped on Scotty Barnes' ankle, they didn't call a foul. They called a tech on VanVleet, and then Siakam tried to, like, shove Embiid, which made sense because Embiid's a dummy. But game 2, Raptors are gonna win. I have faith. They will. We're gonna come back.
We'll see.
We're gonna come back with anger, with urgency. The refs will probably be better, and we're gonna win. And then we're gonna bring it back to Toronto, go up 3-1, and win in 5 or 6. 6.
I think the Sixers will win in 6.
Hell no.
We'll see. I think they got a chance though, because I don't know if Scotty Barnes doesn't come back, that's a big blow.
Yeah, but Tyrese Maxey had one good game. He's not gonna play like insane, you know. And if
Yeah,
he
but
does, okay, if he does, then good for him.
it might be Joel Embiid though. Like that might be the next. He might go off for 40 next time. Never know. So yeah. Anyways, we'll see what happens with game 2. Daniel's obviously really hoping for a nice big win. But moving on, another blowout by 20. Actually, the Warriors just rolled past the Nuggets. Despite Clay and Curry not really having a significant impact on the game, Clay had only 5 points, and Curry had a minutes restriction. He still did score 17, but obviously nothing close to what he usually puts up. But the real bright spot was the man Jordan Poole, who in his playoff debut dropped 30 points. He was on fire. He was making threes from like 5 feet outside the arc. He was just going crazy. Nikola Jokic, he's always going to be good. He's probably going to win the MVP. He had a triple-double in the playoff opener, but again, he really does not have any help at all. I was watching some of the third quarter of this game. It was just like Jokic runs down the floor, sets up a play. The Nuggets missed like a wide open 3, like wide open layups. The Warriors came back and they just scored, and that just happened over and over and over. The lead just kept getting bigger. So what are your predictions for this series, Daniel?
I think based on how the Warriors played, because it's not like I think Steph Curry, like he didn't play perfect yesterday, and same with like Klay Thompson. So I think that the Warriors will win the series. I mean, obviously we don't know how it's going to be when the series shifts to Denver, but I think the Warriors will take it because I mean, based on how they played with the chemistry and everything, like even though like their star players didn't play well, it was like still amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get, but I think it'll be a sweep.
No,
Yeah, or is it 5?
I think it's maybe 5, maximum 6. But also update on the Raptors. So Scott. So we have some really bad news. So Nick Nurse said that Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., and Thaddeus Young are all doubtful for tomorrow.
Oh, Philly's gonna be up 2-0.
No. Oh man. So that's Van Vliet, Siakam, Birch, Anunoby, Boucher, and Brooks or something. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be tough, but I think we can just move on. I feel like I'm kind of like taking over. But we have the Heat. They demolished Atlanta, and when I'm saying demolished, I mean demolished. 115-91. Trae Young finishes with 8 points. Not a good start to the playoffs for him. And actually, even though the Heat won by a lot, Duncan Robinson had a playoff career high 27 points, 8 threes. Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo both struggled, both of them with only 6 points. So based on how they played today, will the Hawks come? One, will the Hawks come back from the disappointing performance? And yeah, like will they win this? Will it be like a tighter series, or will it be like a sweep? I think we already kind of talked about it, but what do you think?
No, they're not going to come back because they're not really good defensively. Clint Capella's gone. He was like their main rim protector. So I think Miami's just going to run through them in 4.
Yeah, that's what I think. 4 or 5.
Yeah, it'd be funny if they won, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, just like bring back 2021 memories and like go off like they did then.
Yeah, like imagine they made it back to the conference finals. That'd be
that would be hilarious. Yeah, but they're not going to beat the Raptors in the second round.
Who said the Raptors are getting to the second round? We'll see. I don't know. It's not looking good right now.
Yeah, injury-wise, we are not looking good. And then the Celtics and Nets games happen. The Nets are 13-2 run. They're up by 5 with 5 minutes left in the game. So it's definitely tight, but yeah, I mean, so far it's a interesting playoffs. There are a lot of like a lot of people are getting crushed, and then they're upset. A couple of upsets maybe, in close games. So, in my opinion, it's a roller coaster of a playoff so far. Kyrie Irving already has 34 points. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, even if it's not. I mean, even not even watching your favorite team, like it's the one time a year where the games are actually all interesting. You can watch other teams. So yeah.
Yeah. The Brooklyn actually for that game, Brooklyn has scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. The Celtics have scored 6. So tough. We'll
Tough.
see. I think the Nets could easily upset them. That's the thing.
Yeah. Oh. Oh wow. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I think the Nets could. And actually, while we bring it up, what are your predictions for the other games? We have the Bulls and the Bucks. We never talked about the Bulls or the Bucks. We did talk about the Suns and Pelicans, but we never talked about the Bulls and the Bucks. What are your predictions for tonight?
I think the Bucks like blow them out by like 30. Because like here's the thing, I actually watched because I like DeMar DeRozan a lot, so I watched like a bunch of Bulls games, and I watched 2 of the Bucks versus the Bulls, and it was literally just the Bucks destroying the Bulls both times. So I feel like it's just gonna be more the same. Be honest, like the Bulls don't have Alex Caruso, Alonzo Ball playing for
Oh,
them.
they don't. Oh, they don't have Caruso.
I think he's back, but he's not been the same. That's what I mean. Like he hasn't been as good as he was like for the first half of the year. Lonzo Ball's obviously just literally been gone. So they lost 2 of their main defensive guys. Nikola Vucevic is going to get dominated by Giannis at the rim.
Yeah, and Matt Thomas is out. That's one of their backup guards. So it's gonna be interesting.
So I think unless like DeRozan and Zach LaVine are like going off, I think it'll be Bucks in 5.
I'm gonna say Bucks in 5, maybe 6, maybe.
Yeah, there's no way they lose though, because like they literally just won the championship. They know what it takes.
Yeah.
And it's like the same team from last year, so.
Yeah, it's true. Wait, who did the Bucks? The Bucks played. Who did they play first? Who did they play first round last year? I know they played Brooklyn in the second round. Wait, what? Who did they play first? That's crazy. Wait, how do I not remember? Oh, wait, they played Miami. Yeah, they swept Miami. Yeah.
Yeah, because Miami wasn't good. Oh yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, they swept Miami. They beat Brooklyn with one shoe size away from going to the conference finals. Beat the Hawks in 6, and then beat the
Suns in 6.
Yeah. Well, okay, guys. I think it's going to end the podcast today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys, found some fun in listening, and also hope you guys are going to enjoy the NBA playoffs. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, and do everything you guys always do on the other social media pages. And with that being said, me and Akram will see you guys next time.